I am here to talk with everybody about family values and why they matter and why family values in America are what are going to keep us alive. They're the deep down root that we need to be talking about. All right. Cheers. Hello, everybody. I am now doing episode 3 of American Bedrock, which, if you haven't been here before, which you probably haven't since it's the 3rd episode, I am here to talk with everybody about family values and why they matter and why family values in America are what are going to keep us alive. They're the deep down root that we need to be talking about. You know, we've got people like Nick Fuentes. I was just watching his interview, Tucker's interview with him, and how he was saying that women in our culture suck because they've turned so liberal that none of them want to live with any of the conservative men and start families and have the life that we were born to have, that God imagined for us, that our bodies are made for, right? So I agree with him on that, but he also doesn't have much experience with having a family, with raising children, with being married and in a relationship. And I think that that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about in their podcasts. And so I want to have that place be here, where we talk about families, where we talk about values, where we talk about what we really need to be doing, teaching our children and showing our children so that the future is brighter, right? Charlie Kirk was all about getting into the minds of the youth and teaching them about free markets and about smaller limited government and also I think America first. This whole idea of America first is a pretty big one, and I would agree with America first people. So I don't know if that means you're MAGA or not. I don't know if that means that if you're America first, that you are no longer considered right, but you're far right at that point. I don't know what the definition is of far right anymore. I've never thought that I was far in any direction. I always thought I was a centrist, but as time has gone on and things have gotten so divided, I think that Elon Musk has this meme. Maybe I can pull it up here, but it's of a little stick man, and he's standing there and he's in the middle and he feels like he's in between the right and the left. And then time goes by and all of a sudden the left starts getting further away, and as the left gets further away, he stays in the same spot, and the left moves further away and so does the middle, and he stays in the same spot, but he is now a conservative or on the right. And that's how I feel. I feel like that meme is exactly how life has been for a lot of us. Anyways, where was I going with that? Mainly just that family is so important, and that's what American Bedrock is about. This is my 3rd episode, so mostly it's just practice for me to start talking to people again. I mean, I used to speak with hundreds of people a day, and I really loved it. And I loved being in front of a group, and I loved teaching people, but I had children, and I started staying home. I didn't go to work anymore, at least not for somebody else. And now that I'm a mother and I homeschool and I stay home most of the time, my children and my husband are about the only people I speak to, other than maybe my parents and my brother who called me today. So so with that, I feel like I'm disconnected from community. And so part of this is me working on getting my podcasting skills brushed up, and getting my system all working and looking good. I mean, my background is just my guest house right now. But eventually I'll have it all figured out and I'll have all the right equipment, and then I'll start posting this on some different places, like maybe on my X account and things like that. But it's not really about the following. It's really about a community, because I live in a pretty liberal place right now and I don't know that many conservative families, which I'd like to, but we're planning on moving soon, and we just spend so much of our time in our backyard gardening with our animals, cleaning up our kids' messes. If you're a parent, you know. And we have a tiny little house, but we fill our time. And so sometimes it feels like we don't have time to go meet other people. And so that's kind of what this is. I'm trying to see if I can meet people on the internet. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But I also want to share my ideas about things, because I'm passionate about having constructive debates with other people. And I went to school for political science for a while. And so I'd like to use that education, since, I got a degree and I don't necessarily use it to be a mom. It's one of those scams, Charlie Kirk said that you don't need to go to college, and unless, it's for a certain thing. And I think at this point that I agree with him. I mean, if I had known I was going to be a mom, I would not have gone to college, but I was convinced that I needed to have a career and I needed to get this degree, and I didn't think I was going to have kids at all. So now I'm pregnant with my fourth, and I feel like I'm looking really pregnant, but I'm happy that life worked out the way that it did, even though I did go to college and I didn't meet my husband in college. But it was a good experience to have, and to recognize what it means to people and what it lacks, I suppose. Anyways, I had this idea of what I wanted to talk about today. I wrote it down in my notebook even, but I'm not sure if I want to go there. I'm trying to stay close to my mic so I don't have an echo like last time. Trying. Anyways, I wanted to talk about surface culture and deep culture and what the difference is, because I like to read about history and also the present and what's going on now, because there's some crazy things going on right now, right? The fourth turning is upon us, if you've ever read that book. And I think one of the things, there's so many things going on. There's so many things going on in culture right now. I mean, like, today's November 1st. I haven't necessarily been online today, but have stores been being robbed because people aren't getting their EBT, or maybe because it's Saturday and tomorrow's Sunday? The EBT wouldn't really come till Monday, so really Monday is the day that we're going to see all these crazy things happen. I don't know. I haven't seen anything that's like stuck out to me yet today. But people have been saying, terrible things are about to happen, and we're going to dive into a civil war. I don't know. I hope not. Although I do think some major changes need to occur. Anyways, surface culture and deep culture, this more goes along with this other social issue, which is that we have allowed so many people to emigrate into our country or to come over illegally, and we it has destabilized our American culture. When you have a bunch of people come in who are not part of your culture and they don't assimilate, and you don't allow them to assimilate, or you don't force them to assimilate, or they don't want to assimilate, whichever way it is, you don't require it, then you get a destabilization of culture. I mean, I can't think of a better argument right now than England. What's going on in England is crazy, and I mean, even Elon Musk the other day said that it's looking like civil war is going to come in England. And from what I've seen, I mean, I'm an American. I haven't been over there since I was like maybe 12 or 13 when my family went, and I would say it seems like it's changed quite a bit. You know, when I thought of England before, I thought of like beautiful gardens and, you know, an English accent. And now I think about suppression of free speech, and I think about Muslim gangs, and I think about people losing their rights, and the people who are natives of England, which, I mean, my family long ago was, that they're losing their home and that they're being pushed out. And where do they go? I mean, they have a long, long history there, many of them. And even though the US has only been a country for 250 years, there's many of us who've had family here for even longer than that. And there is an American culture. There is an American identity. And that doesn't mean that when people come over that they need to lose their surface culture is what it's called. That doesn't mean that we require people to stop listening to their music, or to eating their food, or wearing their clothes, or having their festivals. In fact, those are the things that enrich American society, and always have. Those are the things that have made us America, and they're what they call the melting pot. And the melting pot doesn't mean that we let people continue to speak their language and never learn English. It doesn't mean non-assimilation. It means that we have a mix of these surface culture things, and people are allowed to, you know, have their cliques and communities, but then they share them with other people. I mean, how fun is it to go to, I mean, when I was a child, my best friend was Mexican, and to go to her quinceañera and to learn about their culture through that. I mean, that's beautiful, and that's part of America. What isn't beautiful is saying, no, we're not going to learn your language, and we aren't going to listen to your legal system, and we don't believe in the same moral authority as you, and we don't believe in the same individual rights, and we want to bring those aspects, deep culture of ours, into America and subvert the ones that you have built here. That's the problem. So right now, I mean, people are pissed about ICE, and I have to say I'm not mad about ICE at all. I think ICE is great. I wish I had my Ice baby shirt on today, but I haven't gotten it yet. I ordered it. But those kinds of things are deep culture. Language can kind of be part of the surface culture. Of course, you can keep your language, but you also need to learn English, right? But you can speak your language at home and teach your kids. I mean, that's wonderful for children to be able to learn multiple languages. I wish mine could. I don't have another language to teach them other than English. Maybe I can get a tutor one day. We'll see. But deep culture is not the same as those. It's something that needs to be shared with everybody in the community and with everybody within the nation. And so our deep culture is our legal systems. I mean, you have to listen to our laws. If you don't agree with our laws, then you can't go break them, right? You can't go change our laws because you think that all women should wear hijabs. You can't change that. This is our country, and that is not a law of ours. And you can have that in your culture if you want, but it is not something that you can put on us, right? Because that's our deep culture that you're subverting, okay? Even though, yes, those are clothes, you can keep them. You can't force others to. There's my husband in the background. Let's see. Religion is both surface culture and deep culture, and that's something that, you know, in our First Amendment, we allow everybody to be able to practice their religions. That doesn't mean that you can force your religion or your theology on others, because that's deep culture, right? Religion kind of can lay on either side of the line. Deep culture, the deep culture of some religions is that there's a theology involved with it, and that's just not compatible with America. The religion, the church, is not part of our Constitution and our laws, right? The Constitution allows your surface culture religion to exist. It doesn't allow it to infiltrate our government. It doesn't allow it to infiltrate our American identity. Anyways, our Constitution is very, very strong about moral authority and how we have God-given rights. The government doesn't give us rights. It protects our rights. So this is something that, I mean, we should be teaching our children, that the government isn't there to make laws to keep us from doing things. The government's really there to say, hey, you already have these God-given rights, and we're here to protect them. And that's not, I think a lot of people who go to like city council and maybe even all the way up to federal representatives don't keep that in mind. And so now we have just these overwhelming rules that we can't live up to because there's just too many. It's too complicated. And you know, I'm not one that really likes rules put on me. So that's something that I teach my children, and that I hope you can learn to teach yours, is that our authority is given to us by God, and it's not given to us by the government. Another deep culture issue that is an identifying point for Americans is individual rights. And that's something that I think the left right now has such a hard time with, and it's also something that keeps us from falling into a communist society and into socialism, because our Constitution protects individual rights. It's not about the collective. Community is very important, but our American identity is wrapped up around the rights of the individual. You don't get to take the individual's rights, right? So a lot of other cultures don't have that, and so when they come here, it's something you either take on and learn, or you leave, because this country is not about communism. It never was, and it should never be. That doesn't mean that having individual rights is going to hurt the community. In fact, it helps the community. We can go into that later. Anyways, if we don't have a cohesive, deep culture within our country, then we're going to have a destabilized country. And that's what's happening in Europe right now. in a lot of different countries in Europe, they are losing connection with their deep culture. And I argue that that's happening here, and why Mom Donnie running for mayor is an issue, because he doesn't believe in the deep culture of America, what our American identity is. I truly don't believe that he knows what that is if you asked him, which is kind of scary. Yeah. So anyways, deep culture needs to be shared. Principles like Sharia law or Confucius legalism, those they conflict with American culture, with our identity, and with our Constitution. And you can say that I'm an Islamophobe, but there's that difference. There's that dividing line of when religion goes from surface culture to deep culture and destabilizes us. And I think that there is that's happening, right? I mean, I think a lot of us can agree that that's happening. Anyways, I talked about that for quite a while. I wanted to touch on a few other things. My brother called me today, and I have two brothers, and one of them is conservative like us, and the other is very liberal, and so we don't get to see his kids anymore, and he doesn't talk to us anymore or send us pictures to the family or anything like that. So, I mean, that's a pretty tragic thing. I think it's very interesting, at least in my experience, that the left cancels the right. I don't know many on the right who have canceled the left, because I don't think our feelings get hurt as easily as people on the left. My brother would argue, I'm sure he would, but he'll never see this podcast. Anyways, I hope that this recorded better this time. I actually didn't do a test, so I sat here for 22 minutes and talked, and I didn't do a test. So we'll see how it goes. I hope everybody has a great night and a great week, and I'll see you next week, and I'll see what kind of new things I can fix about the podcast and make better. And I'd love to record in the greenhouse one day. I think that that'd be really great, but it's so humid in there that all my equipment would get wrecked. So I kind of would have to have it as like a moving setup, and I don't really have it set up like that yet, but dreams. Anyways, I've said that a bunch of times, but I'm trying to think of what else I should touch on. And I'm feeling like that's it, because I need to go make dinner. So I will hopefully talk to you all next week. I'm trying to remember what my line is that I'm supposed to say when I am done. Yes. Keep your home bright. It does seem very bright in here. And keep your hearts brave. We'll see you next week.